I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry, Fred.
Okay.
I just hit record. Explain that again to Dan.
You just told Dan that you're going for a stress test, and I brought it to Dan's attention that a stress test is different than a colonoscopy. Because I know he gets his medical procedures mixed up from time to time.
All these tests. There's so many tests.
So
many tests.
Well, that is true. But to be clear, to clarify, for clarity, I'm going to my cardiologist for the results of my stress test, which I did a couple weeks ago.
What do you mean results? They don't give them to you right in the moment?
No.
Mine do.
Well,
maybe
I mean,
it's different.
This is a special, what your cardiologist does, or do you have a cardiologist, or is this your doctor?
No, it's a cardiologist I go to. I was lucky. I go every year because of the heart attack history in my family.
Okay.
And my cardiologist, I get on the treadmill, I do the thing, I walk into his office, and he says, this and that, and they see it, like, immediately, and... Yeah,
well, I don't know what to tell you.
You're a little more involved because of your history, I'm sure.
I don't know. I don't think so, and I don't know what to tell you other than that's how they do it at this place, and I'm showing up today.
Well, maybe Howard has an advanced test of some sort. Not just
maybe Howard has something special.
Maybe there's something wrong with one of the ventricles of Howard's heart.
I got to admit, I've had one every year and you're not supposed to, apparently, like OHIP or whatever.
You're hogging all the stress tests.
Well, that's it, apparently. I go with the attitude like, I'll show you. I bet you most guys do that.
Absolutely.
You get on that, and you have that, I'll show you. What, 9 minutes? I'll do 9 minutes. Are you okay, sir? Yeah, I'm okay. Can I elevate it? You go right ahead.
That's what I did. That's exactly it. I'm so competitive. She showed, because I had the same technician, the live. I do it every year as well.
Yeah.
And I had one, and I said, what did I do last time? She said, Mr. Glassman, you went out 11 minutes at the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we're going to 11. And then, of course, Dan, what they do is, because you wouldn't know, since you live in the woods and, you don't go to real doctors, you go to like a shaman or something out there in the fucking trailer shaman.
Yeah.
But they keep elevating the treadmill, and it gets faster and faster because the goal of the test is to elevate your heart rate to a high level so they can see how you're functioning.
Right.
Have you never had a stress test?
Yeah, no, I've had one. I found it quite interesting, actually, where they attach all the things to your chest.
Yeah, and they shave your chest. That's well, not yours, Fred, but someone with hair, they shave.
Right.
Do they have to shave? Are there little wispy hairs on your chest they have to shave?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, never. No.
Well, I have all these little squares shaved out of my chest for the electrodes to be hooked up to.
No, I'm like one of those hairless cats.
Oh, that's good.
I saw online, because my son Danny has a French bulldog. Somehow online I got onto this thing about French bulldogs, and they showed this one that it had allergies or something. It was a rescue somewhere. It had allergies and it had no hair. You want to see something pathetically cute?
Aw.
It's a French bulldog with no hair. His face, he looked like he was 150 years old, right?
Because they're all wrinkly.
Oh, man.
Buddy. Anyway. Sweet boy. Listen, prior to the show today, prior to the beginning of a Monday show, another four-banger about to begin. We thought we would remind you of this wondrous product.
Here's to the guys with the cool podcast about weather and dicks and getting old fast. Interesting, all Canadian brew is waiting for you. Humble H and Freddie P right on the cans. If you don't get it now, you're not real fans. Interesting, all Canadian brew. You know what?
Beer still available at Stonehooker. Love that jingle. Every time I hear that part, the Dan's got a big cock part is funny. The way it begins, the guys with the cool podcast about weather and dicks and getting old fast. Really, when somebody asks us, what is your show about? That's how we should answer.
That's right. That's it. Nails it. Right out of the gate. Nails it.
It's a show about dicks, weather and dicks, and getting old fast. Dan, does that make you feel good?
It certainly does. By the way, that beer is a good beer. Just so you
It
know.
is. Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
I got to go get some more.
There's an email here. I won't go into. Well, there's a couple things I wanted to read, but
The show hasn't opened yet, Howard, so has it?
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, so I actually had to ask, has it? I can't remember.
Well, last week we had a show that didn't start for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I was thinking.
Yeah, let's
Maybe
get.
we don't want to do that.
No, I know that's.
Don't forget that Fred used to be a program director. So
Oh well, listen, man.
yes.
Despised.
yeah.
Despised. Don't take my word for it.
It's a good thing he was a program director because if not, where would we be? We would be rudderless. Left to our own devices, Dan.
Yeah, we just wander through the unintroduced program.
Well, and it's funny how we go back and forth because a couple of weeks ago I said, hey, as the sales manager, I think we should get these sponsor mentions on as soon as we can.
Yes.
And then a week later it was like 25 minutes into the show. So let's remedy all of it by doing this.
This episode of Hubble and Fred was... Wait a minute. This episode of
I'm
legendary...
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you need some more time?
Yeah. No, I just forgot about the legendary part.
All right, here we go.
Let's do that in. It's still...
Let me just make an edit and say, why don't we remedy that situation by beginning with this?
This episode of the legendary Humble and Fred Show is being broadcast to the world from our state-of-the-art Humble and Fred studio in Toronto, from our Brampton facility featuring morning dew on a lush grass lawn, and from Peterborough at Lisa's dining room table next to trendy black sticks in a vase. I'm Dan Duran, broadcasting live from the Julie Mazzoni Zoom Theater, and brought to you by the Retirement Sherpa, the Chambers Plan, Bodog, our newest sponsor, Ridley Funeral Home, and Kelsey's Original Roadhouse. And now, here are two men who are looking for daily balance right now. 30 minutes for food, 30 minutes in the bathroom, 1 hour for golf for the World Series, and the rest of the day is, what the fuck is America doing to itself? It's Humble and Fred.
Well, that is very good, Dan. No guests on the show because it's Mondays. Let me just double check that somebody didn't sneak in. Sometimes that happens. Let me see. Nope. Just us.
Yeah. Isn't that something that people do generally before the show starts? Check out what's on the show.
Dan, I'm very free. Listen, you can't hold me down. I'm a freeform. You can't hold me down. I'm a freeform artist.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I get it. Don't want to get in the way of art.
Exactly.
And
Thank you.
And as you mentioned, we're doing 4 shows again this week. It was all right. I came through it all right last week. How about you, Howard? I wasn't like, it was tiring, but not exhausting. Doing the 4 shows. I think I can do it for a few months now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it seemed like a lot because I did 4 of these, and I threw in the golf podcast.
Oh, I thought that was done for the season.
Well, no, we in the season, April to the end of August, Labor Day, we do it every week.
Right.
The rest of the year, we do it every couple of weeks just to kind of keep it going. The real season will be we'll start season 10 next April, just after the Masters. But no, I'm being facetious. It was fine. It's a lot.
And considering the season, we're it's the new season of Aging with Energy as well. There will be some new episodes coming.
Yeah. No, we've got some ideas to keep that show fresh.
With an eye to where you can travel in the winter for those that are in the position to do so.
Yes.
So we've got it all covered.
Why I started to laugh is I thought you were going to say, well, surely, Howard, the golf season's over for you as a player. And then I was going
but it's not.
It's not. It's
No.
like the weather has been great, and at this time of the year, it's almost like you want to get in a few rounds because you never know when you're going to get that many more nice days. And last week Tuesday, I played like it was 25, 26 degrees. I was playing in shorts. It was also almost too hot, Dan. You know, that kind of day. We're like, yeah, it could be a little less hot.
Don't golf courses... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Don't golf courses shut down at a certain point?
Yeah.
And they can go like, that's enough. That's really just enough.
Well, no, Dan, they're businesses, so they want to stay open as long as they can make money while not damaging the ground. So once there's a bunch of... Like, there's been a few frost delays, but once it gets into November, most of the main courses will shut down. Maintenance-wise, they want to start to get the ground prepared for the winter. There's a whole program that I could tell you about, but bore the shit out of you. But they have to prepare... Excuse me. They have to prepare that ground, too.
Foster Brooks.
That was a perfect Foster Brooks and burp.
Yeah. So, but it's mostly...
My dad used to laugh at him.
So did I. I thought it was great. So anyway, Dan, there's a whole way to prepare that ground to weather the winter ice and frost, or icing and freezing. So,
right. Okay. I just thought it more about staffing. I thought,
there's that too.
Seasonal, right? So,
yeah.
How do you convince the golf pro to stay when he's probably got other things to do?
You offer him money.
Okay. Yeah, on the surface, you're right. A lot of the public courses would shut down. I'll tell you, the city courses will be shutting down this week, if not already.
Yeah, but look at the forecast this week. By midweek, it's going to be beautiful golfing weather again. Like 20, isn't it? 20, 21 by Wednesday?
Yep.
Something like
22
that?
Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, a sign of the times, though, this season. I forget what day it was last week. The hot day. It was like Tuesday, Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday was 26, 27 degrees.
Going for a walk around the lake here where I live, I was in a T-shirt and shorts and sweating like profusely. And then I went for that walk on Saturday, and I was wearing a jacket, and I put a toque on.
Yeah,
all within 4 or 5 days. So now we're gonna be back to the warm stuff.
Like it's this afternoon. Not bad. 12 tomorrow afternoon. 19, 22 on Wednesday, and then it cools down. I was laughing too because considering that it's the end, getting toward the end of the golf season. So I played Tuesday and it was beautiful, and I took a couple days off, and then I was out on Friday, and it was about 13 or 14 degrees, pretty pleasant, no wind. So I warmed up like I normally do, probably half an hour, hitting balls, getting ready. Then I played 18 holes with a couple of really good players. Then I finished, and my friend was there. He's a golf teacher, so he was sitting there teaching somebody. So I sat and shot the shit with him, hit some more balls. Then I went out by myself and played another 9 holes, where I played 2 balls at a time. So it's like playing 18 holes. Then I came back in and hit more balls after that. Even me, I was like, well, that's a lot of golf in one day. Like, I was there at that. It was like, I don't know, 8 hours of this. I got to be honest with you, I couldn't have been happier. It was great.
Yeah, that's I don't want to use the word weird, but
it is weird.
But if you have whatever that malady is that causes that, and it wouldn't even be a malady. What would that be? The obsessive thing? Some people have obsessive behavior, and it's counterproductive. That's very productive obsession, because it is, because you're outside, you're exercising. It's sort of heading in a direction. Take someone who's obsessed with jerking off or something. You're
guilty.
What does that do?
Guilty.
Guilty of that.
I got that.
But you know what I mean?
I got it all going on. No, I know. I wanted to tell you that because I thought you'd have a comment about that. Seems like a lot, but I will tell you this. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I was completely, when I came home, I was just completely whatever you feel after you've had a great day. That's how I felt.
I don't know how many times I have to say it over the years. I'm jealous of your obsessive behavior. I am. Especially yours, because it always leads to accomplishment. And this is what I mean. There's obsessive behavior, like, wanting the cushions to be a certain way on a couch.
Well, you've seen my house. I clearly don't have that.
No, but you know what I mean. It's nothing but productive. Exercise, yoga, you know what I mean? Flying a fucking plane. That's all. Anyway,
learning how to play a saxophone.
My current obsession, the Espanol, which I was.
This is what I mean. So it's not.
By the way, no, I went out for Spanish breakfast on Sunday. With
what is that? Does that have black beans in it?
Yeah. No. I went to a Spanish restaurant, and I was thinking, it's a Spanish restaurant, and they'll just serve some Spanish-style food. But to my delight, everybody who worked there spoke Spanish. So I got a little shot of, trying to remember how to do it all. It was great.
Is a Mexican breakfast like a Mexican breakfast?
Yeah, huevos. Sort of? Yeah, huevos, eggs, with tortilla and beans and eggs, with a little guacamole. It was great, actually.
My sweet wife this weekend made zucchini boats, where you sort of slice it down the middle and then gouge them out a bit, and then put corn, black beans, some spices in.
Oh, very nice.
Delicious, too.
Yeah.
And again, with the black beans, I'm not huge on them. I don't like a lot at once. I like them as a compliment, and it reminded me of being in Mexico a bit. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all by way of saying
zucchini boats, try them.
I'm going to try it. All by way of saying, I have a restaurant, not a story so much, but something I wanted to pass by the two of you. And I want to get to that and of course we're going to get to the Trump Nazi rally 2.0, which may actually...
I don't even know what to say about that stuff now.
But we're going to get to it.
Yeah, no, I know.
Let's get to that later, which may actually have been the single biggest boost to the Harris campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Only 8 whatever days away from the election. But first, let me get some music here. Yesterday morning, I woke up 7:40 in the morning.
Hi, guys.
Dan Duran texted our show WhatsApp, one of the many groups we're part of, and sent us this note.
Hi, guys.
It didn't say that, but, it's part of the format.
Yeah.
So, Dan, your fiancée, Lisa was listening to the show, and then there's the comments there on the she actually watches it on Facebook. That's the way she does it. All right.
So the comments section below that runs while the show is running, this came up, and so she just texted it to me. So I thought, after I smiled and thought, well, that's interesting. I sent it to you.
Yeah, he sent it to us with the caption from Dan. Here's a dork. Should I read this?
Yeah, why not?
The guy's name is Mark Gall, Goll, and the gall it takes to write something like this. Fiercely independent, my ass, still being the useless grifters from the CFNY days. Put literally no money into a show nothing more than ad reads, native advertising, and glossing on and on about the good old days. You're on Apple and Spotify, so you're on the major modern networks. You stream live on Facebook for free, so you're beholden to them and will never be edgy. Prove you're independent. Get a server, stream on it. Host your old episodes on it. But nah, that cuts into profit. Well, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Still being...
Take it sentence by sentence.
Well,
or
fiercely independent my ass. That's fine. But he says, still being the useless grifters from the CFNY days.
Yeah, how did we grift at CFNY? Huh?
I have no idea.
And I don't even know what that means.
Well, somehow we're scamming people. I know.
Well, I know what a grifter is, but we didn't need to grift on CFNY. They paid us good money.
Maybe that's
we had grift. People. Yeah, maybe that was the grift. He goes on, put literally no money into a show. A show that's nothing more than ad reads, native advertising, which I'm not sure. Dan, does he think we have like pre-rolls and stuff before the show? Is that what that means?
What does that mean, native? I don't know what that means, native advertising.
Advertising in the show as opposed to advertising from ad agencies or something? I don't know. Like,
I thought,
I don't know.
Are we running indigenous commercials or something?
Yeah, at first I thought, is there?
Yeah.
Are we on that, what is that network?
APN?
APN.
Yeah.
But I'm still not clear. What does that mean? Is that a term in the sales world? Native?
Honestly, my only thought was somehow he thinks we have pre-rolls, like advertising that's, I don't know. Honestly, I really didn't know, but I had a notion. So he goes putting more of that in the glossing on and on about the good old days. No, okay, maybe.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. He's got
but back up a bit when he says put no money into the show. What does that mean, too? Because we bought all our equipment. Like,
well, look at these
the very
signs.
fact that we're doing this means that we put money into the show.
Look at the signs behind us.
Yeah.
We put money into a show. We got signs.
That was on trade.
Yeah, it was kind
those signs were on trade, Howard. You shouldn't have brought those up.
Were they on trade with the native advertisers?
I guess. Okay, and
then he goes on to say, you're on Apple and Spotify, so you're on Apple and Spotify, so you're on the major modern networks. You stream live on Facebook for free, so you're beholden to them and will never be edgy. Well, that's not really true. We're not beholden to anybody, and wherever our show appears, whether it's Spotify, Apple, or other places, like, I don't know, what network should we be on?
What does he think Spotify and Apple is contacting us and saying, guys, you went a little far there, taking Dan up a hill and getting fucked up the ass. Now that's a bit far. That's a bit far, guys.
As soon as the show is over, we got a call from the chief operating officer of Spotify and said, I don't think Dan being butt fucked up a hill is the kind of programming that we've hired you for. And then finally he says, prove you're independent. Get a server, stream on it. Host your old... We have a server. We stream on it. Host your old episodes on it. But that cuts into profit.
I love that. It cuts into profit. I'd love to know what he does besides allegedly, getting a drunk driving charge or conviction.
Yeah.
This guy, Mike Boone did some research. And again, is it actually him? We don't know for sure, but Mike Boone's pretty good. He connected some dots, and maybe he's just angry over that, because when you get a drunk driving conviction, my goodness, it's life-altering. It actually is, financially, and what has to be done to your car and all that kind of thing. So he's probably just an angry, jealous young man.
Yeah, the charge, though, alleged charge to this guy, we don't know if it's him or not. I mean, maybe Mike does, was 2017.
Yeah. Yes.
And I got to be honest with you, I thought we should have left. Mike, for some reason, took down the comments and blocked him.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I was almost typing as you said that, because I couldn't agree fast enough. Our Humble and Fred way is to, there aren't very many people that hate us, but we like to leave them up for the other people so they can see that.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, that guy. And you know what? And we can take criticism. We've been taking criticism for how many years? 35 years, whatever it is. We have. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Even back in the old days, people used to... I got a few letters that people mailed to me telling me how much they hated me. Usually soccer fans. But you know what I mean?
Well, what about all the letters I got from the Catholic Civil Rights League? Well,
that's right.
Who hated me because of, the Jew thing.
Through the eras, we can take criticism. It's just that makes no sense. So, which is another reason we should have left it up, because the guy just looks foolish. Like, none of that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, we'll take some criticism, but none of that makes sense.
The other thing that I wasn't 100% comfortable with, and still aren't, I'm bringing up this guy's drunk driving charge because if it's not, I mean, like, what is? That's our counterpoint. Oh yeah, you got charged with drunk driving.
No, I'm just saying maybe he's angry. You know what I mean? That's all. Because
I know.
His thing doesn't make sense. Maybe he's angry. That's all.
No, I know, but I get your point. But the initial point of like, well, we're gonna show him. We can find out who he is, and I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
It happens.
Yes, I know. I know it happens.
The world we live in.
Yes.
Point counterpoint.
Well, it just seemed to me.
Yeah,
it just seemed to me a little bit sucky. It's like, this guy says that we're independent and we're like over our overlords. Oh, yeah? Well, what about your drunk driving charge?
Yeah. And again, we don't know if it's him. It's just someone with his name, okay? Yeah. Someone with his name, apparently in the same area, had this happen to them. Hey, listen, man, we just deal with the facts on the show, okay? Just the facts.
All right. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I think we revel in some criticism because it's content. We just did this. We
exactly.
did 10 minutes on this, right? It's fun,
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you counting the minutes that bit went on?
Yeah, yeah.
Was that too many minutes?
Well, we're getting to the end of it. Now we should move to the next subject.
So what are your thoughts? Yes, it's content, and what else?
Well, that we shouldn't have taken it down. But you can't put it back up once you take it down. So,
no.
Because we all three of us, I think you actually said, Mike, put it like we shouldn't have done that. But, I mean, not criticizing Mike because he's very defensive of the show.
No, this is no criticism of Mike because the guy, I'll tell you one thing. It's that old thing, fuck with me, fuck with my gang. Boone, you do not want to screw with us when Boone's at the gate because he will fucking cut you.
Because
it should come down.
He's
that
what?
kind of thing
he's the gatekeeper.
He is the gatekeeper.
Yeah, and he did that. To protect us. On
absolutely,
some level.
I know.
Because if anything, that bothers me a bit. I mean, forget the fact about the alleged charge. It's almost like it's there and then it's not. Like we can't take criticism. I don't really like that because I've been on the Fox News site and left comments that are taken down almost immediately. It's like and how slimy they are. It's like you can't take criticism. You can't make a good point if it doesn't support the narrative and. So I would prefer to leave those up.
Well, and if he had made any good points, that's really the issue with it is, it's fun to take it apart. No, Dan, I won't go through it again. But that being said, it's not like if he had made some good points, we would be able to answer him and go, well, okay, well, fair enough, but none of it really makes sense given the paradigm of what we're doing. We did spend money doing this. We continue to spend money by paying people, and we have agencies that make commissions from us. We have a server. We have a server. We have employees. It's not like we're just doing this like most people do into a shitty computer and
right. But that's a traditional criticism of this business. Even back in the old CFNY days, remember? It was like, you got to be true to the brand. You've got to be, street man. There's not a lot of money in it, but you still got to do it. I'm going to go off to my high-paying job, but you guys continue, to
That's right.
do this for me, and, without making as much money as you can. That was the attitude. Yeah. And I don't know, it's sort of traditional with this business.
Well,
for some reason, you're not supposed to make money. Or
you guys,
whatever.
Well, you guys are definitely not selling out.
Here's a comment from Rita Shephawk. I believe that's how she pronounces her name, saying native advertising is what used to be known as advertorials, basically integrated in show sponsors. And I see that. What I think he's mixing up, he says nothing more than ad reads, native advertising, and glossing on and on. So I think he's saying, I think he gets ad reads and native advertising are the same thing. Thanks, Rita. Okay, Dan.
Lovely Rita.
Lovely Rita.
Is she a meter maid?
Lovely Rita. Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Suck it on it, Dan.
Yeah. Yes, that's
Good.
that's not
The half
that's
hour
not
mark
what I was
was
going to
good.
say, Dan. Before we let Dan go away and prepare the news, this is that Taylor Swift song where she talks about haters gonna hate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm playing that.
I go on too many dates, but I can't make them stay.
This is the only song I would say, oh, that's Taylor Swift.
That's what people say, but I keep cruising.
All right, she's never getting to that point. Daniel,
Yeah.
are you, speaking of the golf season, when are you going to be moving out of the trailer so that you and I can resume our hanging out as buddies friendship, where you might once in a while come to Toronto and we can hang out?
This may be close to the last week of regular, residing up there. I'm going to head back today, and then it's going to be a nice week this week. So, still got a couple things to do up there, and enjoy the warm weather. Got to pull a dock out. Still haven't done that. Those kinds of things.
How are you going to do that? You need help.
Yeah, I'll find somebody.
Who?
I don't know. Somebody.
No,
wanna
like
come
who? Yeah.
No.
Who's going to do
I don't
that?
want to come up.
Oh,
When you say you're going to find somebody, you mean like some street people?
yeah. I don't know. Somebody's kicking around somewhere. I'll just say, hey, you help me for 5 minutes. Then
Is it a big job?
Yeah.
No, it's not a big job.
Well, you got to pull and lift.
Yeah, I got to pull for 5 minutes. Is that about
Yeah.
it?
Can you give me your back for 5 minutes? Is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at our age, you got to watch that stuff.
Okay.
Well, I guess Dan's used to pulling and lifting large objects.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. Pardon?
Yeah. You ask me, no. I have no interest in the place in the off season. You know that. Zero. So, I mean,
Fred's
if I
not gonna
really
help.
had to come up and help you, like a do or die or life and death thing, of course I would.
Like, how would that be? Like, Dan's in a wheelchair, you have to go and help him.
Exactly.
Wheel him over to the dock.
Or say, like, he was something, he injured himself and couldn't do it on his own, of course.
Oh,
I'd
poor Dan.
call Darren, maybe even you, Howard, and say, let's
I
go
would
up,
be there in a second.
invest a few hours and help the guy out.
Absolutely.
But as far as going up there for the sake of it,
But
no.
I just got this, Dan, of course, if he were wheelchair bound, would have hooked up some kind of winch system to the wheelchair, and he would roll himself back.
Oh, he'd figure it out.
Anyway, we got a plan. I miss hanging out with you. We got a plan coming for like a guys' night. We'll get all high, have some
we can
food.
do that again now. Yeah.
Yeah, now that I'm doing that again. Yeah, it's fantastic. I missed it so much. Here's the thing, fellas. I know, Fred, you've been your bit with me lately is, you're a man about town. Look at you.
Oh,
you're
you
here.
are.
You're
You
a
are.
man
You
about
are.
town.
A man about town.
On the
You're
weekend,
here, you're there, you're
That's
everywhere.
I dropped by somebody's birthday midday get together at the Horseshoe Tavern on Queen Street Saturday afternoon. The vibrant city.
Has that changed, that place?
Not a bit. The entire place smells like beer that's been pissed through human beings.
Yeah, stale beer.
Stale beer that's been urinated on.
And you know what? You still get years and years and years and years of cigarette smoking in there. It's it's like in the walls, man.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I was downtown on the weekend and, going here and there. And I was having this conversation with my new friend and we were talking about this restaurant. And this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's in the same category as like Morton's, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, High's,
Right.
Barbarian. This place is called Harry's Steakhouse. It's on Bloor Street, just up from me, Bloor and Islington.
Okay.
And we started talking about this restaurant and restaurants like it. And I haven't been to these places for a long time. Part of it is, as we've discussed in the show, I don't really think of steak as like something I want to go out to eat.
No, same here.
But I did I just for fun looked at their menu. And this is the same type of menu you're going to get at all those other places. So, Dan, to start with as an appetizer, do you know what a wedge salad is? It's like a wedge of iceberg lettuce, kind of in like a pyramid like just a wedge cut out.
Oh, okay.
So they cut out the wedge of an iceberg lettuce. They drizzle it with some kind of dressing, and they usually throw on some bacon.
Right.
To start with, that was $23.
Wow.
You went to this restaurant?
No,
or
we
you just saw the menu.
Okay. She and I were talking about it.
Oh,
and,
right.
and restaurants like it, and we were both surprised to find out that restaurant that's on Bloor Street, like out of the way, it's like a neighborhood restaurant, or so we thought it was. The cheapest protein on the menu is a roast chicken at $65.
What?
Wait, you could get a tomahawk pork chop. I'm just doing this from memory. That was $85.
Yeah.
But if you wanted a steak, I know. I've had a long time to digest this subject, but wait till I tell you. All the steaks, the sirloins, the fillets, all that stuff, they started at $97. Mm-hmm. And then, just like these other places, Morton's, High's, whatever, the sides, you wanted a side of mushrooms or something, those are all minimum 20.
Or even like a baked potato.
Baked potato, $25.
Yeah. What?
Nothing comes with the steak.
Yeah.
But this, again, that concept isn't new.
No.
Like, and you and I, in our years gone by, have been lucky enough to have been taken to some of these places. Mm-hmm. Dan and I, because I was talking about this with Lumby yesterday, there was an occasion years ago where Dan and I and Jeff and another couple, so 4 people, we went out for dinner. Unbeknownst to us at Morton's how expensive it was, and this was at least 15 or maybe more years ago, and each couple cost $450.
Oh, jeez, you're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. And that remember that, Dan? We were all kind of like,
oh yeah.
We just didn't realize it was going to be that much money.
To that point, that was the most money I spent on any dinner ever in my career.
I'm sorry, it can't be that good. You can't spend that money and go, "Oh, that was worth it."
So
can you?
Well, not that's and you're just jump ahead a little bit. So if that was 15, no. So I'm saying if that was 15 years ago, when the entrees were $45 and $50, and this was going to be my point. I looked at that menu. We were just kind of looking at it, and I said, first of all, if you just had a couple of steaks, an appetizer and some sides, and maybe a bottle of wine, it's already $400 a couple. But my question is, and you sort of got ahead with it, 2 questions is, less about who can afford it, because obviously some people can. But
yes.
What do they need to do to a steak for you that you would pay $100 for?
Well, number one, I would never pay $100. Let's establish that. I just wouldn't. Well, it's got to be foolproof. It's got to be tender and delicious. It just has to be. It can't be anything less than fantastic. And maybe the cuts of beef they get, the way they age it, maybe they deliver. That's great. But even if it was the best steak ever, I'm not paying $100 for a steak. I'm just not. And you know what's really changed too is the ratios. Like when we were young and not making a lot of money, you could go to a steakhouse and splurge a bit and have a steak, for $20, whatever it was in the day. The ratio of what the average person made and what a nice steak in a steakhouse was, that's all like been blown out of the water now. A place like that is for people that don't, the price doesn't matter. They don't even look at the price. They just look at what's on the menu,
I've been thinking,
how do you explain that?
I don't know. I mean, again, even for a special, even for a special occasion, I don't ever think about steak as something I want to have.
No,
and
same here.
The analogy or the metaphor or whatever I was trying to come up with was, when I was drinking some wine, I kind of got, obsessive me. I got into wine and I started learning more about wine. And one of my friends, it could have been you, Dan, gave me a wine Bible. And I was really researching wines from different regions. But even so, and we had friends from Churchill Cellars who were our sponsors for a while and used to have discussions with them. But even with all of that invested, I really couldn't tell you the difference between a $20 bottle of wine and a $100 bottle of wine. I mean, I could tell you the difference between a $10 and maybe a $20 or $25, but beyond that, I had no distinction. And I was going to ask you guys the same. If I took you to some place and said, you know, here's a steak from one of these is a steak from the keg, top of the line, $45, whatever their highest charge is, and here's a $100 steak from a fancy pants steakhouse. For me, I don't think I could tell the difference.
No.
The only thing that would come up is whether, like Fred was saying, how tender it is, and you know, whether if they overcook it or however they cook it.
But I'll tell you what. But let's say it wasn't. Let's say cooking it wasn't the issue. They were both well cooked.
Yes.
And they were both, like the keg's top of the line and this place. I mean, for me, I don't know that I have the physical distinction to tell the difference.
No, I agree. I wouldn't either. You know, it's a thing. You know, I mean, the last time I went to a steakhouse, I think it was probably with Darren to the Barbarian thing, and you know, it was fine. It was good, but again, you know, at the price, they don't deliver. But again, there's other people that are super into steaks. I mean, you know, going out and having a nice dinner to me would be like Thai food or Indian food, or, you know, we've said this before, at a fraction of the cost, and I enjoy it way more. When we go out, and, you know, with Rich Tunes there in a week or so, you know, a nice dish of pasta and a side salad is like, oh, yeah. Like, I don't want it plunked down in front of me, and I'm immediately doing the tabulation in my head. Mm-hmm. Am I getting return on investment here?
Yeah.
You know, you can spend, you know, $40 a person in a restaurant, and it's not the greatest. It's, okay, $40, you know, it wasn't that much of a hit. But when you get up into those numbers, it has to be good. Like, there's no compromise.
Dan, what were you going to say there?
Just when you get to those numbers, you're on a special night out. For me anyway, that would be like a special night out if you're spending that kind of money. There's just a hunk of this or a hunk of that on a grill or whatever. That doesn't do it for me. It's like, if I'm spending, it's a special night, kind of to Fred's point, it's like, well, okay, I want somebody to serve me something that I couldn't possibly make.
That's true too.
You know, or like something I don't know how to make at this point, and maybe down the road I figure it out. But you know, just a hunk of meat on a grill and spending that kind of money.
No, that's exactly. At all. I didn't make it, but I've made it before. That is also my point. When I had dinner with my friend the week before at this restaurant, not the one where I'm taking you to, but another one. It was the food was so good. It was so something I couldn't make. It was this clam dish with a certain style of pasta, and it came in it was, every bite was amazing, and we had an appetizer, and she had a couple glasses of wine, and the whole thing was $150.
Yeah, and you leave sort of feeling good.
I felt great, and to your point, Dan, it's not something I would make. You know, we've all said this. Like, I'm not saying we're all the greatest steak makers, but I promise you, all of us could put some meat on a barbecue and make it pretty good enough if you want a steak.
Listen, I could go to Burton's. I haven't mentioned them in a while. And buy a $35 T-bone, thick, huge, probably share it with somebody for $35 and probably make it as good as any of those restaurants because it's good beef that you're getting. Again, I don't know what the deal is with the markup, but that, you know, it's the steakhouse thing, and the people love them, and people with money go, and obviously they do well and they survive and they have a clientele. Great, super. But, you know, I can't make Indian food, so I love going out. I can't make Thai food. You know, to buy into what you guys are saying, that to me, that's the dining experience.
I can't make sushi. That's why I have it when I go out to eat.
Exactly.
You know, and the last part of this, and I've been thinking about it since Saturday, and I kept thinking to myself, what exactly? Well, I wanted to have this discussion with you guys. My point is, I've had a run up to thinking about this, and I just don't know. I'm looking at a bone-in filet mignon. is $97. I was the cheapest actual steak you can get. You can get lamb chops for $78. A tomahawk pork chop for $62. My overall question is really what's going on? What do they do to it?
Yeah.
Beyond it's just a higher value cut of meat.
The guy's been open. He's built up a reputation. You know, he has that built-in clientele, and he's just, sucking people in. Here's my problem. If I order a $100 steak and I'm paying for it, when it's put in front of me, I don't even know if I'm tasting it properly because my expectations, the minute I say, okay, I'll have that $100 steak, are so high.
Yeah.
That when it's in front of me and I start cutting it and am I even tasting it properly? Well, as opposed to if somebody, I was at somebody's house and they brought in the back door Harry's steak and put it in front of me and I'm going, oh, this is fantastic, right? Like, you take the money aspect away? I don't know.
I know one thing. I'm going to send this audio to Harry's Steakhouse. That's
Hey.
Get a sponsor and all of a sudden
absolutely. All of a sudden we'll be like,
your opinion.
That's right. If they were our sponsor, we'd be going, it's worth it at twice the price.
Yeah. On that point, restaurants, I forget what day it was, maybe Thursday, Delise and I drive up to Elora. Have you ever been to Elora?
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, this was a Thursday still in October, and it was busy that day with people just milling around. Beautiful little town. They've done a great job. Everywhere you look, some of these Ontario towns like Peterborough, Lakefield, whatever, there's always some sketchy sort of areas, or you look around and think, oh, they could do a better job with that. Elora, top to bottom, beautiful. And apparently, like in the summer, you can't move. And so you can't move there. I mean, the crowds are so huge because of this quaint little town. And it is gorgeous. The gorge is there. The waterfall's beautiful. But, I went into a restaurant there. It was called the Friendly Society. And the Caesar salad there was $24. Not even that big. And if you wanted a piece of... So for a chicken Caesar salad in this place, mid-afternoon, just on the street, this little walk-in place is $31. And I'm thinking, it's like, what's happened? Like, seriously, what's happened that these prices are just astronomical? And then I didn't order that, by the way. I got a tuna poke bowl. All right, but again, almost $30.
Yeah.
And, the experience ends with her handing me the thing that starts at 18%, and that aggravates me now, too. So the whole dining thing to me is, I don't know.
We're getting a little, did you see that, Dan? We had like a little warble session there from the Fred man.
Warbler. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Just a tiny bit of warbling.
By the way,
what's that, Dan?
I was just going to say, but you went to Elora last Thursday?
Yeah.
They had a Halloween kind of whatever evening stroll thing, and Lisa's boys, who are both fantastic musicians.
Your stepsons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. They were playing there.
Oh, cool.
They were doing for the evening there. They set up and they had some tunes all on the outside. It was quite a picturesque experience, apparently.
Yeah, it was a candle thing where everybody, they turn off all the lights in the town and people walk around with the candles. And, you look at this thing and immediately at this town and you go, this would be a nice place to live. And then you think, no, it wouldn't. You could never use the town.
Yeah, because as soon as it got nice, it would be overrun with
like a circus.
People from out of town.
It's circus. But anyway.
By the way, before I forget, it was very sweet of both of you because you reminded me Thursday was Charlie's birthday, and she said she got a note from both of you, and I thought that was very kind and sweet of you, totally on brand, and she appreciated it.
Well, how did the whole week? Did you wrap up with a big?
I was only invited. There was 4 events. I only had access passes to 2 of them. Spencer had an all access pass to all 4 birthday events. But Mommy and
Daddy...
She had
the laminate? Yeah.
She had the... Oh, no, mine just said 2... Mine only had the 2 days on it. Spencer said all access. It was great. We had a great lunch on Thursday. with just the four of us and Charlie's boyfriend, and then they had a big friends thing Thursday night, and then a big party at Charlie's house on Friday, which I said, hey, should I drop by? You know, typical dad shit, and everyone just sort of looked at me like, no, maybe you shouldn't drop by. We've been recording now for some time, and Dan, why do you think I'm getting this little thing where sometimes Spotify isn't playing songs for me? I've rebooted it. Like certain songs won't play. Like it's weird because that song was just there the other day.
Maybe they delisted the song or something, so the artist pulled it down. Or
okay, that's I'll try and do it after the show. I'll try and reload it and see if it's there. Dan, we just take a couple-minute break, come back and do the news. You know, it's a Monday show. It's a little more, it's not a full edition of the Humble and Fred show. It's just kind of a...
getting back in the groove kind of show.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and, you know...
Yeah. All right.
And Fred and I have got a little business to take care of. We'll do the news and maybe get you involved in what I think was one of the worst campaign events that I've ever seen in a presidential campaign. But all of that's coming up at first, Freddie.
Well, it was a creep show. That's what it was.
Oh, no. It was absolutely
Speaking
fucking
of
wild.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Hey, our Buffalo Bills won yesterday, 31-10. They just went into Seattle and ran right over those Seahawks, improving their record to 6-2. Way to go, Buffalo Bill. Way to go, Buffalo Bill.
I thought they played great.
Yeah, they did. They're a good team. Are they good enough? Look at those Kansas City Chiefs, 7-0.
Yeah.
Like, won't that be tedious if Kansas City wins the Super Bowl again? But dynasties are dynasties, are they not, Howard?
Oh, no, for sure.
Tonight's Monday nighter, Pittsburgh at the Giants. Pittsburgh a 6-point favorite. The money line, minus 280 on Pittsburgh. So quite a decided favorite. Whether you're a sports bettor, a horse racing fan, a poker or casino player, Bodog, your number one source of online gambling entertainment. From their industry-leading odds, world-class sportsbook to their fully loaded casino and racebook, they've been providing Canadian players with an unparalleled gaming experience since 1994. That is Bodog.
So you're talking betting. Let me tell you what a sure bet is, okay? A sure bet is when you just know you're going to get great food at a reasonable price. This is like the polar opposite of all that we've just said. You want to go to some place where you get great value, great flavor, great food, great service. Well, of course, we're talking about Kelsey's Original Roadhouse. Awesome deals. $5 drinks every day. That's right. Lunch trios starting at $14.99. Half-price wing Wednesdays. Same for Thursdays. Their happy hour, as I've mentioned, it's amazing. They'll do it twice a day, every day. They celebrate it. That's where you get your $5 draft of beer, wine, and mixed drinks. $10 appetizers every day from 3 to 5. And 8 until close. Only at Kelsey's. The Original Roadhouse. Must be legal drinking age, of course. Please enjoy responsibly, but I promise you, bet on it. You don't have to go to Bodog to find the odds on a great experience when you hit up Kelsey's Original Roadhouse. Visit kelseys.ca or your local Kelsey's for details. I don't know. Where do you want to start here? Well, why don't you lead and I'll fill in some blanks?
Well, again, I've been using the word disheartened. I really am. I'm at a spot now where I think, and I've said it before, and people may think it's, too, hysterical, extreme. But I really don't want my family and my grandkids to live in that kind of world if it takes hold and it takes power. I just don't. And what we saw at Madison Square Garden yesterday, and you can't help, it's almost your duty to watch it to see what's going on. Because the people that buy in, if you don't see it, will say, oh, it was nothing. People are overreacting. Well, no, it was just horrible. a bunch of horrible people saying horrible things, trying to connect with enough horrible people in the United States to win an election. And it's, to me, it's just sickening. Like, just sickening. And you look at the people they ran up on that stage yesterday, like Tucker Carlson, that creep. You're aware of that whole thing he did about the spank. Did we talk about that? That whole thing about, Trump is, daddy's going to spank the little girl and all that.
Well, he did that. He did that at a rally earlier in the week, but did he reprise that? Great.
No. He come up and said some other horrible things.
Yeah,
and then,
he was talking about her being a Malaysian something or other. He's like,
yeah.
Go ahead, because I want you to have the first crack at this.
And then you even get a guy like Dr. Phil. Now, this is so hard for me to understand what happens to people. Dr. Phil, for years, has a show. And, for the most part, people like him, but he has a show where people come on stage and talk about issues. How they've been damaged psychologically, emotionally. And he sits there and tries to help them with that. And then he turns around and supports a guy, and I don't give a shit what anybody said. He's an adjudicated sexual offender. So now he stands up on that stage and defends Donald Trump. How many women has Donald Trump emotionally and psychologically damaged through sexual abuse and treating them shitty? So where is that connect for a guy like Dr. Phil? What happens to these people?
Yeah, where was that moment in Dr. Phil land? Because remember, he came out of Oprah. Oprah sort of sponsored him.
Exactly.
And, he had this whole kind of a good old boy, but he was part of that movement of Oprah, of everyone kind of coming together and a real community of support and all that stuff. Where was that moment along the way that Dr. Phil decided that this was the way to go? And it's, again, I haven't thought much about him because I don't give a shit, but back to the lineup at this, and of course, most people know that there was a Madison Square Garden rally back in the 30s, 18,000, supporters of Hitler. So just that alone, the optics of having another one at Madison Square Gardens, sort of coming to mind of this rally of years gone by, just that alone was a bit creepy to start with.
And then Rudy Giuliani, all he's been through, he's just he's turned into like a clown.
Yeah.
In that Borat movie where he comes on to the girl and it's on, just a creep. And then his creepy sons. Of course you can have your sons, but they're creeps. They just are. And that Dana White. What's happened to him? It doesn't even, he stands up there and doesn't even make sense. The reason he's in Trump's corner is because apparently Trump bailed him out a few years ago with the UFC or something.
Yeah.
He did you a solid, but is that enough to stand up there and throw your lot behind where Trump wants to take the country? And then Elon Musk, that's got to be the most bewildering. Someone so brilliant has become so insane.
I've got some great Elon Musk audio I'm going to play here in a second. So
and again, there's no two sides to this story. Either.
No, there isn't.
Sorry, people, but no, there isn't.
How it hit me, now that you've had that, how it hit me was I didn't see. Not that I'm that smart a strategist. I didn't really understand what the strategy was because, as I've mentioned, of the parallels to this famous rally back in the 1930s. I didn't really go, okay, so what is that statement he's trying to make? Number one, it's been a really weird, even for Trump, a weird couple of weeks. His appearance on Rogan was just nonsense. I mean, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I've listened to enough of it. Even Rogan, was starting to laugh at him. But through it all, and as we've said a million times, he has a base of support that doesn't seem, that will never be shaken. And here I'm getting to my point. I'm going to play you some audio, everyone who didn't hear it. But so if you believe that there is a finite number of Trump supporters, the only growth opportunity to defeat him is to motivate other people that may be on the fence, independents, people that haven't made up their mind yet. And ironically, this rally of his has done just that. And we'll get to that in a second. This guy, Elon Musk, here's him. He's so fucking weird now. This is him yesterday at this rally.
Yeah. USA, 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 USA.
He does this thing. I don't even know what he's saying. He just goes, ha! I mean, it's just bananas.
You know, and you can be brilliant and evil, and that's what he's become.
Well, he's like
Trump.
He's like the evil, the mad evil whatever in every Bond movie is a guy like Elon Musk.
By the way, did you see Jason Bateman got rid of his Tesla?
Oh, did he really?
Oh, yeah, he got rid of his Tesla. He said, I felt like I was driving around like in a Trump campaign vehicle. So I dumped it.
People ask me about that, and I go, listen, I don't...
Yeah.
Elon Musk didn't make this car. I love this car.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, if they had this noise as an option, I'd use it as my horn.
USA.
So that was weird. And then he brings out what the biggest takeaway from this rally is going to be the following clip. Well, there was two clips of this guy. Mm-hmm. And you asked me before the show, do I know who he is? Yes. Tony Hinchcliffe is a comedian. You can go see he had a Netflix special about 7 or 8 years ago. He's kind of on the outskirts of stand-up, but he's very famous inside the world of stand-up comedy. He made a big splash at the Tom Brady roast earlier this year on Netflix. He was one of the 2 or 3 best roasters that night. He has a show online called Kill Tony. Regularly gets 1 million views on YouTube of each of these shows, and he brings up comics, and him and a bunch of other comedians roast them. So that's his genre. Now, if you know that, fine, again, why a stand-up comic? And his whole clip, by the way, is 11 minutes long. I watched a bit of it. Did you see all of it?
Yeah.
All his
But I think I can answer that question. Why Tony Hinchcliffe? Because the thing is, they're desperate to reach out to that community for support.
The bro community, yeah.
And the thing that, this Tony Hinchcliffe, he seems to be on our side. Let's get him on because, the other side, the Democrats, have all these quality stars and celebrities. We need somebody. I mean, fuck, Howard. They had Hulk Hogan on the stage again yesterday. Is that not enough for you to scratch your head and go,
no,
what?
But Fred, you just made the point. I've heard others make that point. Hulk Hogan is there for the same reason you just described. To bring in that bro, young male, motivate a young man in America to vote. And I'm going to say this before I play the clip. I think Tony Hinchcliffe is funny. He's very good at this style of comedy. He just, and the joke I'm about to play, is a typical Tony Hinchcliffe joke. Just given the context of where it was. It's not some show at New York City Comedy Club. It's going to be repeated for the next 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Here is the first clip. He's talking about Puerto Rico.
It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. You have a guy at your rally doing that bit?
Do you know there's 500,000
yes
Puerto Ricans in
Pennsylvania? Exactly.
But Howard, help me with that. Where did that joke come from? Like, what's the context of it? Like, what was he talking about where all of a sudden that would come out? Like, I didn't get the structure. What was it?
He was doing, and I don't know if this clip comes first or that came first. He was talking about Latinos. So here's another clip that's going to go. Well, let's just play this clip.
I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this.
Waving,
He's pushing his arms out like, get away from me. Yeah.
It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
So, yeah, like that was his thing. And then, so J-Lo, Ricky Martin, and an artist called Bad Bunny, who was one of the musical guests last year on Saturday Night Live. Between the three of them, they have something like 300 million Instagram followers. And they have all reposted that clip to all their Instagram followers. And the reason it makes me laugh is whatever Trump thought was going to come out of this rally, these two clips I just played, specifically the floating piece of garbage that is Puerto Rico, that's all any news outlets will be talking about today.
So, and again, he's apparently made great breakthroughs. If you listen to, the latest polls and people that apparently know, has made breakthroughs with Latino and black men, and this guy comes on and attacks them. There was a guy with a weird-looking hat or something in the crowd. He said, some black guy with a weird hat, and he said something to the guy, and then said, "Oh, it's okay, buddy. I was with my black friend over the weekend for Halloween. We were carving watermelons," and it's like,
oh yeah,
okay, like. And as I tried to explain to Delise, too, in some dark fucking smoke-filled, or not anymore smoke-filled, but you know what I mean, comedy club, some of that stuff might fly in the right situation. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there, it just seems so ridiculously counterproductive to what it was all about. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I mean, to think that maybe this guy's, of all the things he could be brought down by a comedian,
exactly,
that was at his rally.
And as we often do, I'll look at the Fox News site, and there's nothing about it. Nothing will be reported today other than if any of these surrogates, people that defend Trump, will say it was taken out of context. We don't endorse that. Yeah, well, it was at your rally. I don't recall anything at the Beyonce rally with Kamala Harris on Friday night where any of that, again, we've said this before, she's held to such a higher standard. Because if something had been said at her rally that even remotely resembled that,
listen, I was going to say, I can't guarantee, but I will not be at all surprised if Tony Hinchcliffe is on Fox News today.
Oh, yeah.
To explain himself. They will go to great lengths to let him, and they'll work some angle where there was nothing wrong with that. It's the people that criticize me. It's their problem, not mine.
Yeah.
You watch. It'll probably happen. It's so... Again, it gets back to this feeling it gives me. It's like there's not two sides to this story.
No.
These are horrible, horrible people. In their quest to become the power of America, are going after the most disgusting underbelly. And it just makes me think, are there enough? I've got to believe if they get the vote out, there's more good people in America than bad. And again, I keep hearing on the weekend, when we don't know what her policies are, and I forget who it was, just ran down her policies. It's like $50,000 for business, $5,000, or $25,000 for homes, and no tax on tips, and tax credits for this. And
no, I think his is no tax on tips.
No, she's doing that too.
Okay. Well, no, but your point is there are policies you can point to. All you can point to with him is, a nation in decline, our country will never recover. Meanwhile, the economy in the United States and Canada, the last year and a half, is recovered. It's in a pretty good recovery mode.
But even that, whenever you're an incumbent, and he's an incumbent with a pause, sometimes you get a break that way because you've done it, so people pretty much have an idea of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he has that advantage. He just does. And there's the people that are under the mistaken impression that, those 4 years were great. Well, they weren't. 2 were okay thanks to Obama, and the last 2 sucked.
Yeah.
But it's just bizarre. It's just so hate-filled. It's just so negative and just so racist and so intolerant. Like it's... I have no...
Yeah, and the irony is that this could be the thing. They talk about October surprises, and they're waiting for something to happen. There was a rumor, I don't know if you heard about it on the weekend since last we spoke. There was a rumor that someone was about to disclose that the Butler County assassination attempt. I know it's a bit of a conspiracy theory, but I saw it more on the weekend where somebody says there's some documentation around the fact that it might have been staged. I mean, think about it. We never heard from the families of the people that were killed. We never apparently there's no hospital report. The fact that he got shot in the ear and there's no scar. He was even talking about it on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan, who's been around, UFC a lot, was kind of looking at his ear like, where's the scar? A 5-centimeter nick was taken out of his ear. Well, that's the size of a nickel. Anyway, my point is, wouldn't it just be whatever that is, irony, coincidence, whatever, the thing that finally would be enough for people is this comedian making that joke about Puerto Rico. I mean, it may not, but if that were any other campaign, that would be the end of it. That would be the October surprise.
So what do they do? Like, just say that it was, there was some method to the madness of this Tony Hinchcliffe. They're thinking, okay, if he tells those type of jokes, it'll land well with average American young person, and okay, we might piss off a few Latinos, but let's do the math here. Because they're even talking about the Arnold Palmer thing.
Yeah.
Apparently he did that purposely because he thought, hey, a dick joke, that young audience, they laugh at dick jokes, so I'm going to tell one. Like, I don't know if it's that calculated, but this is a guy that's running to stay out of prison.
Yeah, do you think...
He's willing to do anything he needs to do.
Do you think that there's no way they didn't know Tony Hinchcliffe's entire routine was going to be...
No.
There's no way that guy goes on that rally without having to hand in those bits first. And by the way, if you listen to the audio, it didn't go over very well in that room. Which
is actually sort of a bittersweet thing, isn't it?
Yeah, like both of those. I watched his whole. I watched like 7 of the 11 minutes he did, and he wasn't killing. Like, he did okay.
I watched it. Yeah. See, I don't know Tony Hinchcliffe, and having watched that, I watched the whole thing. I'm thinking this guy sucks. But again, I take I'm going to take your word that he's very funny in his element. I don't question that at all. But what I saw, I'm thinking, what a fucking dick. This guy's. I was looking, he's supposed to be in Niagara Falls, at Fallsview in March. Our place is going to start canceling him.
I guarantee you he has a following. And I don't, he's not as big as, like Shane Gillis and those guys, but he can be a rung or two below. But in his world, like I was playing a little bit of the Tom Brady roast for you this morning. He writes really good roast jokes. But
great.
I'm thinking, if I'm the campaign people at Trump, who is that guy he's not famous enough to be in that spot.
There's a real movement going on. I was reading, there's a lot of Republicans, and I can just only hope this true. I shouldn't say Republicans, they're conservatives who vote Republican, and they've just had enough, and they're going to vote for Kamala. They just are.
Yeah.
And again, it's hard to track them. And I just look at what happened there yesterday in Madison Square Garden, and those people that continue to support him through thick and thin, no matter what happens, no matter what's said, because I sit there and I go, where's the line for you people? At what point? You just watched this disgusting display. At what point do you say, okay, that's enough, I'm out? And what type of person does it take to not take that stand? Where you're so blind, you're so brainwashed, you're so racist, you're so intolerant that you just keep going with it. And I've just got to hope that there's enough Americans, conservatives that have said long ago, I can't do this. I am going to sacrifice 4 years. I am going to put up with 4 years of a Democrat government to get our party back.
Yeah,
to get this thing back on the rails, what we're all about, really.
Almost like
we're not about this.
Almost like a palate cleanser, like a Control-Alt-Delete, like shaking the Etch-a-Sketch. Should I go on?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, and again, I had this conversation with Lumbee yesterday, too, that, the party of Ronald Reagan conservatism is long gone. And as I said to Jeff, I said Ronald Reagan wouldn't recognize the kind of Republican Party that this has devolved into. The fact that it's even close still nationally in polls, but if you look inside, there is a huge amount of Latino voters that today are going to decide not to vote for Donald Trump. Apparently, the numbers inside the black vote now have swung wildly in her favor. But there's another group of people, Republican women, that when asked in a polling situation may not respond, but when it comes down to putting their name next to a name or their check next to a name, they're going to go with the woman in this case. I really feel that now. And
they wouldn't tell their husbands,
right? They wouldn't tell their community.
They're not going to tell of course they're not going to tell a pollster. The only concerning thing is, at this time in 2016, Hillary was up by 8 points and lost. And at this point, I think Biden was up by 6 points and just eked out a victory. And it's tied. So that's concerning. But again, a lot has changed. A lot more creeps are willing to say they're going to vote for the guy.
Yeah. Because
they've been emboldened by a creep. And the creep, and the creep community around him. So who knows what's going to happen? It's I don't know. When we sit here the day after the election, it probably won't be decided then. But, if we have to sit here and realize that, that guy won the election, it's what a sad,
no, I agree.
Sad state of affairs in 2024, just when you think you're making progress. And this whole transgender thing.
Well, that's but let me just comment on how sad it is before. It's sad because it's so filled. The whole world of MAGA is so filled with lies, with mistruths. He was caught on with Rogan talking about. Well, he admitted quietly that he lost, and then he walked himself back. The fact that the whole 2020 big lie is still being perpetrated by apparently intelligent people. When you can tell somebody, with a straight face, that your kid goes to school and comes back a different gender, and you're saying that as part of your presidential platform, and somebody believes it
because they want to believe it. They don't really believe it. They just want to.
I don't know the difference anymore. What's the difference if they want to or they don't really? Do you think...
Well, they know it's not true.
They don't know it's not true.
Oh, I think they do, but they just, it's part of the narrative, so they push it. But not only that, when you take... How many actual incidents are there, or situations, where young people... When you look at the percentage of the population, even the child population... of how many people this actually affects and how they've blown it out of proportion. It's disgusting. And it's harmful. And I often hear this thing, what gender the kid is and how many words we have to use, and, they're cutting off the genitalia of these kids. Well, number one, most of that's bullshit. But that refusal to accept that this is part of our world is sickening too. Because I'll tell you, back in the 50s, there was tons of homosexual men that couldn't come out, couldn't say what they were, couldn't be part of society as homosexuals, and we evolved with that. How is this any different? Listen, this is a thing now. And what's ever causing it, or however valid it is, it's a thing in our society now. So you deal with it. You know, as I said to my asshole relative a few weeks ago, so what are you going to do with these people? Just kill them? What's your answer to this whole transgender thing? What do we do? Just kill them?
Listen, and what you said too. I mean, I agree with all of it. But what you said too about how many people are actually ever affected by this, how they've turned something that is such a small part of the population, how they've made it a general election issue, is just part of a sort of litany of disgusting. I don't even know. That's why, Dana Bash was on, I can't remember if we were still doing this show last week after the Kamala Harris town hall. And she was saying the next day, I don't think Kamala, if that was supposed to close the deal, I don't think she did. Well, fuck off.
Not only that, Howard, she said the people I'm talking to. What people?
Yeah, we did
2
bring
seconds after it.
Yeah, so we did bring it up, but I want to say, like, how dare you, in a world where Donald Trump is talking about abortions that are performed after the baby's born? Was that an articulate point that he made during a campaign rally when he talks about, and your kid could go to school and come back a different kid? Did that close the deal? The thing is, and again, this is Michelle Obama's quote. Can someone tell me why we are once again holding Kamala to a higher standard than her opponent? But for some reason, I mean, Oberman talks about it. We're talking about it now. Why that is, that she's supposed to have a clear set of policies, and the other guy can ramble on about sharks, batteries, and all this other stuff, is to me so frustrating. From Trump, she says to never show, and Kamala can never show any anger. She can never, and has to prove time and time again that she belongs. But for Trump, we expect nothing at all. This man is talking about what a terrible, terrible country it is. You know what? That's starting.
Called it a garbage can over the weekend.
That's starting to turn off even some Trump supporters who don't feel like it's a shithole country.
Well, that Michelle Obama speech, I watched it and sent shivers down my spine because I thought, and I'm not some bleeding heart liberal. I mean, you aren't either.
No, I know.
Again, I've said it a million times before. More often than not, I vote conservative in Canada. I'm a conservative, fiscal conservative, but you know what I mean. And again, we're losing that party here in Canada, too, but that's for another day. I listen to her and I think, okay, this is just decency. We're talking about being good human beings. Because if we lose that, fuck policy. Most of these people that talk about policy wouldn't know a policy if it slapped them in the head. That kid we used to work with at the Mix who makes himself sound like an idiot every time he opens a microphone on his podcast. Again, making all the... There's an example. You talk about Reagan. He saw the Reagan movie, and he's on his podcast telling people how Reagan and Trump are the same. Where Reagan's family has come out, and anyone that knew Ronald Reagan said he would hate Donald Trump.
Absolutely,
he would despise Donald Trump. But again, all these people with their, they just scratch the surface, and whatever way the wind's blowing, they just grab onto it if it helps their narrative, and that's what's frustrating. I'm with you, man. That whole, it's just frustrating because at the very least, let's just start with being decent human beings.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really understand why. I mean, you and I listen to the same podcast most days from that guy, and I still don't think I get. It frustrates him. We're talking about Keith Olbermann, and the show is called Countdown, and it frustrates him. But I still don't really get why some of those mainstream outlets, the Washington Post, the New York Times, like what is their motivation for not investigating just how much this man's degenerated, what a degenerate he is, and the vitriol, all the vileness that comes out of their campaign. Trying to make it seem like he's talking about policies when he's literally just, and half the time now, sort of mumbling inarticulately.
Like, I think I can answer that question. They're spineless. It's all in case he wins, because what he has promised to do if he wins about attacking his enemies and shutting down the critics, they're afraid. If he gets elected, he'll look back and say, oh, you were on my side. You're okay. You weren't. I'm going after you. And I really believe that. Look at what's his first name? Bezos? Is it what?
Jeff Bezos, yeah.
Jeff Bezos
owns the Washington Post.
Now, he won't let them endorse Kamala Harris. They won't endorse Trump either, but traditionally this paper would endorse the Democrat. That's why he runs Amazon. Does he want to be on the wrong side of Donald Trump if he's elected?
Yeah. No,
it's all self-interest.
I agree with your answer, and I've thought of that, but I just find it hard to believe that they would be that they're that afraid of what the consequences of supporting the other candidate would be because of that. I find it hard to believe. I just do.
Well, that's the scariness of Donald Trump. It's come to that.
Yeah.
That's how scary this is. What is he capable of? We don't know. And so many people say that, well, and that's another thing. The whole Rogan thing to him, it was 3 hours of sitting there letting Trump lie and licking his balls along the way. I know he pushed back a couple of times. But this whole thing, and Rogan said it was, well, you didn't do it the first 4 years. Why do these people think you'll do it in the second 4 years? Well, because all the rules will be different.
Yeah.
All the faces will have changed. Trump learned in the first 4 years. He's got to surround himself with yes men. In the first 4 years, he took some advice and said, oh, that guy's a good guy. He's a good general. Bring him in. And then they pushed back on his insanity. Well, this time, all that, he's not going to have any guardrails. That's the difference. Figure it fucking out.
Now, I'm just looking here on Julie Fleming, our main political correspondent, has sent us some stuff already there. They're already been on Fox and Friends, talking about, this thing and how it wasn't, the Trump campaign doesn't endorse the Puerto Rican comments, and the guy was just a comedian, blah, blah, blah. Of course, they're going to spend all day, defending it.
I bet you he'll be on there today. You know what the best part of that was, though? Well, he said it. It said Trump and Vance right below.
Oh, yeah.
That was the best part. Anyway, what'd you think of the Rogan thing?
Well, I listened to a bunch of clips from it. It was the same old thing. First of all, that Rogan thing is the reason he was 3 or 4 hours late for a rally later in the day. Mm-hmm. And I just found it, I did think at some point Joe Rogan kind of realized what he got in front of him. I think Joe Rogan I think he had a bit of a moment there where he got to understand what he was speaking to. The fact that he was a 78-year-old man, who really, again, I know I've told you guys I've been watching the West Wing, and you really get a sense from how smart all the people are around the president, but how smart the president has to be to synthesize all the information.
Right.
And you just don't get this. My impression from watching him, the clips I saw, is he still isn't a very smart guy.
No. I mean, any intelligence he has is just channeled in such negative, counterproductive, nasty ways. It's like, but number one, I don't, Rogan goes on for 3 hours with anybody. To me, it's like, I'm sorry, don't have the time, don't have the interest. But that idiot sat there for 3 hours and regurgitated all the same shit. And at one point, he talked about the election being stolen, and Rogan said, so how? And he goes, well, And he said, and Rogan said, no, explain to me exactly how. And he couldn't answer the question.
Of course he doesn't. He has no answer.
He come up with some weird thing so that was okay. But then at the same time, Rogan buys in, a lot of what you says is taken out of context, like the, good people on both sides. Well, no. And then Rogan also buys into the, it was a Russian hoax. It wasn't. It's right in the Mueller report.
No,
that was not a hoax.
No, I know.
Anyway.
Now that Dan Duran's back, I thought we would have a fun little palate cleanser. Dan, would you like one?
Sure.
Here's a comedian that you may have heard of named Chris Rock explaining.
Oh, yeah.
You may have heard
on
of
a movie
Chris.
with him. Yeah, I worked on a movie.
Fantastic.
With him.
Of course you have.
Wow, you and Chris, me and Howard saw him at an airport one day.
Well, that's as close as we got to. So here's Chris Rock explaining why America is a nation in the middle. Hold on. I have to do it again because I had the thing. There we go.
The thing without
Say, a lot of people say this shit too. If you're the smartest and the brightest, you won't need affirmative action. We'll be able to get rid of affirmative action altogether if you just strive to be the smartest and the brightest. They say that as if the whole country is run by the smartest and the brightest. Now, I was in black schools and white schools, so you can't fucking tell me shit, okay? Now, when you go to a class, there are 30 kids in a class. 5 smart, 5 dumb, and the rest, they're in the middle. And that's all America is. A nation in the middle. A nation of B and C students. That's all the fuck it is. A nation of B and C students. But let's keep it fucking real, okay? A black C student can't run no fucking company. A black C student can't even be the manager of Burger King. Meanwhile, a white C student just happens to be the president of the United States of America.
Isn't that great? I thought you'd like that little palate cleanser. A white C student.
But even, and I've said this too, like of all the people I know in my world whose opinion I respect, they see the good and the bad in this. They see what an evil bastard he is, how it's not good for the world for him to be the president of the United States. And even guys like Chris, he's a bright comic. Isn't it funny, all the bright comics, all the rational, decent human being actors, actresses, all fall on that side?
Yes.
And then you look at the people that support him, and there's something always fucking wrong with them, like John Boy
No, I
James
know.
Wood. You know what I mean?
I know. It really is something else.
It is something
It's
else.
something else. And you know what? It's not going away in a week from tomorrow. The only scenario, because I say scenario, the only scenario that would possibly put it to rest, even though there's going to be some fallout, is if there's this uprising of ethnic Puerto Rican women, black. If it comes out and it's an historic landslide, they're not going to have much to say. Problem is, if it's close, it's going to be worse times a billion from last time.
Well, they're doing it already.
Oh, yeah.
They're setting the stage by... That's why listen, here's the deal. Usually, if you're doing well in the polls legitimately, you almost like to downplay it because you don't want complacency to be built in. Because sometimes, if you're doing really well in the polls, some of your supporters on election day may go, "Oh, they're going to win. I don't need to go." And that's a big problem with elections. But Trump is saying he's doing well in all these polls for a purpose, even when he's not.
Yeah.
So that when he loses the election, he can go, "Look, I was doing great in all these polls and I lost. It was fixed."
Oh, yeah. He's been setting...
How evil is that?
Well, it's not just evil. It's fucking... I don't even know, because I guess it's evil. I just find it. It's like he's such a scam artist. But you know what? I know Dan's probably sick of this topic too. So why don't we take a sec? Well, more?
No, I was just going to wait. You talk about the blacks and the Latinos and all.
Yeah,
those
I
people.
talk about them all the time, all day.
Just take 15 or 20 minutes, each one of those people today, to look at the sort of economic timeline to see what bullshit it is that country was in such great shape under that man because of his doing. It's just not true.
Even Obama in a speech said, I gave this guy, I took an economy back in 2008 that was in the shithole. 2008 was a big economic, puke. And then he came into power and he built that economy, handed it to him. Yeah. Anyway, in the meantime, here's a little bit of...
I'm sad alone in a boggy marsh, totally motionless except for her heart. Mud flowed up into Lump's pajamas. She totally confused all the passing piranhas.
So you have to ask yourself, why does the Mixmaster Howie G, that's my DJ name, Mixmaster Howie G, why is he playing this song, Dan?
Why is he playing this song, I wonder?
I wonder if Fred could even Guess why this song? After a talk about presidential elections and things to do with presidents.
It's by the presidents of the United States.
That's right, baby.
That's the band. That's the band.
She's in my head.
Plus, I love this song.
She's lump, she's lump, she's lump. She might be.
And while we listen to Lump, why don't we also listen to Mr. Patterson? Hey, got some
Tim.
things to say.
Hey, Tim Niblett is a portfolio
Yeah.
manager. Raymond James, a member of the Canadian Investors Protection Fund. It's Timmy who will visit us this week on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about interest rates going down. How can you profit? GIC is less attractive. Consider Sherpa-style investing, okay? Bonds, inverse value relationship, all these terms that he's going to throw out there, and in the Sherpa way, explain them. All right? The knowledge you need to know as you build your wealth. He's the Retirement Sherpa, retirementsherpa.ca.
She's lump, she's lump, she's in my head. She's lump, she's lump, she's lump.
I had occasion to go to the moving pictures show this past weekend.
What?
Yeah, I went to a movie.
You
Yeah.
went to people. We're hanging out with people in a dark room. Yeah.
Well, yeah, first I hung out with people at the Horseshoe. That was crazy.
All right. Yeah.
Hung out there and hung out downtown for a while. Saturday afternoon, very pleasant in the big city. You know, sunny streets, people milling about. And then we went to see a movie in the afternoon picture show.
You don't fall asleep on those ones.
Well, I had a little.
No way, really.
Not a big
Come
one.
on.
Not a big one. Just a couple seconds where my eyes got a little tired. The
What was the
movie.
movie?
What? Pardon me, Dan?
Did you lose track of what was happening? in the
Not
plot?
really. I'll tell you
No.
why. Because and I think you guys would both like this movie. You can wait until it's not necessarily have to see it on the big screen. But I was curious about the movie. It was the Saturday Night Live movie.
Oh, right. I've been wondering how good or bad that one.
It was fantastic.
gonna be.
I loved it.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. It was for guys like us I was 15 the year that SNL debuted. And having been a comedy fan my whole life, it was transformative. I was one of those guys that listened to the National Lampoon Radio Hour, bought National Lampoon, Mad Magazine. So it was it was pretty cool for me. And,
But it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine that any of those characters like Belushi or Aykroyd or any of those guys were you'd be able to find actors. It just must feel
you know what they
weird
did,
to watch
Dan?
that. Eh?
Like they weren't looking for people that were like clones of them, but and a couple of the characters they really made up to look like the people that they were playing. But it was the sort of feel of those characters. The guy that played Belushi was very good. The guy that played Aykroyd was good. Chevy Chase character, very good. Gilda Radner and the Lorne Michaels character, excellent. I'm only saying that for if you're a fan, if you were around our age, you know, in 1970s, this will be fun for you. And it all takes place. It literally the movie takes place starting at around 10 o'clock on Saturday night, whatever that date was in 1975, as they're trying to get the show on the air for the first time. And it's good. It's again, if it came up on a streaming service at some point in the future, I'd say give it a shot. You'll both really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And now that I just, no matter, I just go in and buy the senior tickets. So it's like $10 a ticket.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong, man. Yeah, it was good. It was a good experience.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I was in a theater. Probably before COVID.
When you were in 1975, you would have been 19 years old. You must have been plugged into the Saturday Night Live mania, the fact that it was like the first sort of show by the counterculture world. Carlin was the guest host, Billy Crystal. Yeah. It's just a crazy group. Billy Preston was one of the musical guests. Ian, what's her name? Janice Ian was another musical guest that night.
Janice Ian, wasn't she at 17?
Yes.
Another uplifting song. Anyway,
that's right.
Howard, it was huge. There was no social media. There was only, half a dozen television channels, and it was the focus.
Yeah.
So I was in high school. Then I would have been in grade 13, and every Monday morning you had to sit there while everybody tried to reenact or talk about or laugh about what happened on Saturday Night Live. That's just what it was.
How about you, Dan? Did they have
it had the entire focus
Yes.
of a generation?
some great details in the movie about how they were prepared to rerun a Carson that night if it didn't. They were rushing around, and at some point they say, "Well, why don't we just try next week and put a Carson on?" And that whole, one of the best things they did is they showed a lot of what television was like for regular, like what we were watching on TV at that time. They had a couple of clips of Carson. They had an old show with Milton Berle, who, by the way, shows up in the movie. It just gave you a sense of like what was going on in the regular world before this show came on the air, and how revolutionary it was.
Although I have heard the comparison that the Carol Burnett show revealed a bit that style of sort of off-the-cuff comedy, don't worry if you blow a line, laugh in the moment thing, sort of with some indication that America had an appetite for that, but maybe not of that.
Not with that age group. Yeah,
that age group.
You're right. Carol Burnett definitely set a table, but this was it was the age group, the demographic of these people. And all those people I just mentioned were people in their 20s. The oldest cast member was Garrett Morris. And
he was.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he was the oldest.
But yeah,
wow.
he was an established playwright and an actor at one point, but an opera singer. Was exceptionally talented. And one of the through lines in the movie is he keeps walking around going, "What am I doing here?" Like I just said, like for me as a guy that really has loved comedy since I was a little kid. And seeing this and knowing the impact it had, we have a friend, a mutual friend, and we've talked a lot about on the show, Danny Kingsbury, and he was our program director at The Edge, and of course a friend of Dan Duran's and Lumby's. But before you guys got to Moose Jaw, Danny and I hung around, and we spent a lot of time getting high and reciting the Steve Martin album, which came out around the same time, around 75, 76, whatever. And then so it was like a thing, like in my world, it was it was important to me, comedy was. And then when Steve Martin went on Saturday Night Live and those brothers and all that stuff, like it was huge for me in the 70s. Now, as the time went on, like I never loved, maybe during the Eddie Murphy years and a couple other casts, but I never loved the show ever again like I did those first couple of years.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, you think about all the great casts that have been on there, and there's been some great ones. The Sandler years and all that stuff, very good, but never made the impact on me. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, no, listen, I wasn't into comedy the way you were. I mean, as far as applying it like you did, so I could see how that would spin your propeller. That would be like me going in the gondola at Maple Leaf Gardens. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
No, I get it. It's funny you talk about Steve Martin. You said were you talking about the Wild and Crazy guys?
Yeah, the Czech brothers, whatever they were called.
That was fucking funny, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something else, and there's again, when you get a chance to see this movie, like I liked it so much, I'm not going to go see it in a movie theater
so
again.
much I almost fell asleep.
One time, I was tired. There was toward the end, I started to get a little dozy.
It was dark in there.
It was dark, and I was all cozy up with my gal. And but I was when it's available to stream, I'll watch it again. Just because it was layered with so many neat moments, including a moment where one of the characters says to Lorne Michaels, "What is this show? What is the show?" Because he couldn't really explain it. And then when he does, you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. There's a lot of moments like that.
In the theater, did you put your pecker up through the bottom of the popcorn box and then offer some to Shona?
Well, first of all, yes, obviously. Secondly, we really haven't, given our friend a name yet. So,
Oh, I'm so...
That's
oh,
fine.
Okay.
I have to go back and beep
is
that.
that.
You have to
Okay,
beep
I
it.
didn't know.
Yeah, just to keep things a little bit, quiet for a while. But
distance,
yes,
distance.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't
Yeah.
apologize. Seriously.
Edit it.
No,
Edit it.
no, don't apologize because I did put my wiener in a bucket of popcorn. I said, "Hey, honey, would you?"
Remember that.
Did anyone? There was nobody in the
That ever
world that
did.
ever did that.
Hey, would you like some popcorn?
Would you like some popcorn and touch my dick through this popcorn?
Oh,
You know what they do?
I didn't know. How am I supposed to know you don't? I didn't know
Doesn't
there was a
matter. I haven't
name
said her
embargo.
name. There's not an embargo. I just haven't said it.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I wouldn't have said her name.
Why?
Yeah, I know because you're a good spy, Dan.
Because
Well, say Lisa.
Yeah, but we've
Yeah, it took a while,
revealed
you
a bit of yeah.
Take a little while. I don't want to listen.
Oh,
I don't
well,
want to
you know
embarrass.
what? I'm so out of the fucking loop. See, I don't know.
You're out of the fucking Fruit
Appropriate
Loops.
loop. Yeah.
You're out of
Maybe
the
if
Fruit
I
Loops.
had a new girlfriend, I wouldn't want her name used either.
Hey, by the way, going back to the
let me
popcorn.
explain. I will get to the popcorn example. It's just because I don't want to potentially embarrass her by all the nonsense that I say on this fucking show.
Yeah, but there's a million. I won't say her name again, but there's a million women with that name, so it could be anyone.
All right.
Well, you can go
Say
back
her
and
last
just
name.
You know what they
beep
do?
in there. Put the beep in, and then
know what?
this will.
I'm not putting B. I'm going to leave it in so we can have this conversation. You know what they do at theaters now that when we were kids they did not do, and I'm sure we've talked about this. Dan, you used to work at a theater. That's how you guys just started show business.
Yes, I was. I was an usher, and I moved my way up to
Manager.
doorman, and then trainee assistant manager. Trainee
11. So what do they do? $11 for a soft drink? Is that what you're talking about? Or
No,
what? No.
The
Oh,
fact is, there's a commercial that plays.
right.
Look how ready you are just to be angry at the world for how much they're charging you. What, $11 sake?
Soft drink.
Soft drink.
A little bit of water and fizz.
Look at you. Oh, they're charging for popcorn. $46. They have a little commercial that plays now just before the movie starts saying, just so you know, this isn't your living room. And we would, this is a public space. And we would encourage you to pick up all your garbage and bring it home. Yes. And bring it to, as you're leaving, there's somebody who works in theater and showing you where the garbage can is, but you're expected, Dan, to bring your own garbage to the garbage can. That was never a thing in our... In fact, you could just throw it everywhere. Throw it
Popcorn everywhere, yeah.
See,
As an
there's another job eliminated, right? Because the ushers used to go and sweep up after. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with that
we're supposed to
dustbin with the broom, and then
Fred.
you go through the aisles
Fred,
between
there's
shows.
there's another job eliminated. Yes,
Yeah.
the movie cleaner.
By the way, back to the popcorn thing.
Yes.
Is popcorn still coming in buckets, or is it now all paper bag or whatever?
No, it's
There's a big bucket still.
no.
Did you notice?
You can buy a bucket. It depends on. I got a medium, so it comes in a paper bag. There are buckets available. I didn't need a bucket.
yeah, it doesn't matter what it comes.
I
in.
could have
You
used
could
a
still- You could still stick
Stick
your
your
pecker
dick.
in
I
it.
was just gonna say, I don't need a big bucket to stick my dick in. I had a small popcorn. You kidding me, Dan? Dan would have to. I'd have a big bucket of popcorn because my dick's so big. I got to stick a dick in the bucket. Stick a dick in the bucket. Mm-mm.
Oh, I got dicks in the bucket.
Got dicks in
I
the
got
bucket,
a dick in the bucket.
Trying to get livers moving on.
I got a
There we
dick
go.
in the bucket.
Moving on.
Met a girl selling drinks at the disco. Seems complicated cause it's really so simple. Walking down Young Street on a Friday. Can't follow them, gotta do it my way. No fast lane, still on the highway. Moving in and out, no doubt there's a bride. No time to get down cause I'm moving up.
Are you ready, guys? Here we go. Trying to get
down cause I'm moving up.
Got a dick in the bucket. Do you know the story about this guy? This guy could have been so rich.
Isn't this a Toronto guy?
Yeah. Chaos.
Chaos, right? Yeah.
Do you know the story about he was approached years ago, sometime in the last 10 or 15 years, when this song first came out. At the same time as, you remember that song by Feist? 1, 2, 3.
Yes. Yes.
Well, she was the second choice of a little company called Apple, who were introducing some new, it was a new iPhone, Dan, or a new version of the Mac. And they offered him a ton of money to make this the theme of the new campaign. And got to give the guy props for integrity, but he said no. And Feist became that song of Feist became the theme of the new launch of whatever they were launching.
Wow.
He's now working at a barbershop at Yonge and Dundas.
No,
I don't know what he's doing.
nothing like that. That song by Feist, I could never decide whether I liked the song or not. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Whenever I heard it, it was like, do I like this song or not? I don't know what it was about that song.
Yeah.
It was unique.
It was unique. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we play a little bit of it, and now you can decide once and for all if you like it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me that you love me more. Sleepless, long nights. That's what my youth was for. Oh, teenage hopes arrived at your door. Left you with nothing, but they want some more. Oh, you're changing your heart. Oh, you know who you are.
So where are you at now? Oh, hang on a second.
I'm about to talk about the Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan.
But where are you at on the Feist song? Do you like the Feist song or not?
It's all right.
Okay.
Like you can't find it on any of my playlists, so that's usually an indication of hundreds of songs.
Would you go ahead with the Chambers of Commerce, and we'll just listen to Feist.
Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan, Canada's #1 group benefits plan for small business. Go to chamberplan.ca, get a free quote. It's all there, all the information you need. And again, you give them some of your information and you'll get an idea of what's involved and what it's going to cost you and different levels that you can buy in at, and then fully appreciate what you get in return for becoming a member. Dental, prescriptions, travel insurance, some therapies. You know, they have the teledoc system. They have an HR component if you need it. They have a mental health helpline type thing that, can help people in real time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's all there. They thought about it top to bottom.
Hey.
It's full service. Yes, I'm sorry.
I will say this. Sometimes it's tough to get through on that mental health line because I'm just like, I'm on it all day.
That's right. Howard, will you get off the phone, please?
Howard, we're going to need you to get off the phone now because we have a bunch of other people that would like mental health support.
And I've told you, I've used the teledoc system. Again, you have something, you have an ailment, requires a specialist. Yes. You want to go right to the source, get some quick help. Anyway, it's just another feature of the Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan. They do a great job on holding the line on premiums as well. Small business, you can't have fluctuating costs, so it's all there. Take the time today. Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan, chamberplan.ca.
Dan has a service. It's called the Telecox system, and people call.
That's right.
It's like they call up and ask to talk to Dan's wiener.
That's right.
That's right.
That's what they do.
That's right.
You guys didn't ask. I'm being the observational
subject change.
That you are.
Subject change.
Yeah.
Yes, Dan. What is it?
You didn't ask me about why I'm wearing these old glasses.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I didn't notice either. I'm
my
sorry.
Old glasses.
Why are you wearing old glasses?
Well, you were talking about the dock earlier in the show.
Yeah.
I was working on the dock, and I took my glasses off so I could, I took a board off.
Yes.
And I put my glasses off so they wouldn't fall in the water. So I put them down, and that board that I took off, I just, flipped over onto the glasses, and I
smashed
the glasses.
Oh,
so
God damn it.
I might as well have dropped them in the water.
God damn it.
They're totally useless. Now I got to go and figure out where I can get some glasses.
Not that I'm obsessed with cost, but what did they cost, Dan? What are they?
Glasses are running.
They run.
Glasses will run you.
450, somewhere in that zone.
There's another one. Somebody putting somebody out of a job because of the glass industry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I might go online for this one because they're cheaper online.
I'll tell you what, a lot of people are going online, finding more and more each day about this fine organization.
Looking for a way to relax after a long day?
Yeah.
Come on. Tired of being notified by life's bells and whistles?
Yeah, I'm going to need that draft tomorrow.
When you're ready to stop working so hard, you know it's time to play. Yes. It's easy to find your next favorite game at Bodog.net. Play free casino games, check out our beginner's guides, and get poker tips. Visit Bodog.net today. #Make a play.
Now, here's to a fella named Dan Duran, a hell of a guy with a hella big wang, the quintessential anchor man. His voice is nice and low. Ho! Dan Duran, the anchorman comes. As for credentials, he has none. Can't tell a headline from his bum, but his voice is nice and low. Dan Duran, the anchorman's here. He's prone to falling off his chair, but he's got a big wang, so he don't care, and his voice is nice and low.
My voice is nice and low.
And now it's time for the Dan Duran News, brought to you by Boron 1. Find out what boron is, then find out what boron 1 does with it, and how close they are to getting the boron, which you would have found out what it is, out of the ground, and how that might affect you and your family's well-being. All of this to say, it's time for Daniel J. Giebert Duran III.
Okay, there's still no winner in the BC election. 22 mail-in ballots will be the decider. That's been a while now, a couple of weeks. Well. Trump is calling CNN's Allison Cooper, because he's gay and working at fake news.
Yeah.
And billionaire newspaper owners are sticking their gold fingers in the editorial section and stopping a Harris endorsement in order to hedge their fortunes. But let's turn our taste buds to cheddar, a big British caper. 1,000 wheels of artisanal cheddar was stolen, and even Jamie Oliver is asking for help. Apparently, the scammer was posing as a wholesaler, and they made some sort of deal, and he took the cheese before they realized that he was a thief. And now they're out 400 Canadian grand, $400,000 of cheese is floating around there. They're asking cheesemongers everywhere to keep an eye out for stolen cheese, this particular brand. And I'm sure, I don't know how far they will take the cheese to avoid the. But how do you like track a cheese?
Are any of the suspects enormous mice? Are there anybody looking for giant mutated rodents?
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, I bet you they would hate Mises to pieces.
Yes, they would.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a Bugs Bunny mouse? Or is it Tom and Jerry? Or what was that? The cat and the...
Oh, yeah.
The mouse there. I can't remember anymore.
Another thing about the Saturday Night Live movie I forgot that they highlight is that Jim Henson, the Jim Henson Muppets, were supposed to be part of it. And they lasted, I don't think, only a few episodes. But that was part of the original premise for that show. Yes.
I can't see that.
I know, but you see that when they were throwing everything together, they thought, well, we'll have some Muppets on this thing. Anyway.
Very interesting.
Another thing about that, most of those original cast members were like all kind of stars in the end, right? So other machinations of the SNL afterwards had a star or two or a few, but not the whole cast. But it seemed like the whole cast.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. That first cast... Other casts became huge stars. There were, like I said, you think about Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler, Tina Fey, on and on, Dennis Miller, Norm Macdonald, tons and tons of Chris Rock, David Spade. But the actual cast that started in 1975, outside of Garrett Morris, pretty much became famous. The first person to become famous from that cast, do you remember who it was?
Would it be Gilda?
Chevy Chase.
Oh, it was Chevy.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I don't think he made it to season 2. I think he jumped after season 1 because he thought they were going to make him a movie star. Might have lasted. And so the next year or the year very shortly was Bill Murray came on.
Right. I was going to say Bill Murray, but he was after.
And Carlin, the guy that played Carlin in the movie was very Carlin-esque. And I came up on my little. I get these inbounded emails from different quotes, and this is from George Carlin. So perfect, Carlin. He says, "Anyone driving slower than you is an idiot, and anyone driving faster than you is a maniac."
So true.
So true. All right.
I would just like to make this point. Dan touched on it. Again, the empty, horrible feeling I get. And again, if you think there's anything okay or decent or normal about Donald Trump, just think about that over the weekend. Where we are in 2024, he referred to Anderson Cooper as Allison Cooper.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, does it get any more moronic and disgusting and low and base than that? That's your guy, people.
Yeah.
That's the guy that you want to be president, calling Anderson Cooper Allison Cooper. There's those that'll chuckle over and, oh, it's no big deal. Don't you have a sense of humor? That's not sense of humor area. And it's just not.
And you listen, there's a bunch of Novembers throughout the history of presidential campaigns that if that slipped out, because that was the kind of thing that might have been said off camera. It was caught in a hot mic situation, not out loud on purpose. That's what,
and several times.
Several times. That's what's so funny about it is that's the kind of thing that, oh, did you hear what John Kerry said? Or Jesus, they caught him on tape calling him Allison Cooper. Like, that's where we're at. It would be enough, and that's why the thing is so curious to me. That there's so much that would have been enough in just a few short years ago.
Everything you did this past weekend, pick any one of them. It would have been career ending just on a weekend.
Anyway, I thought before we finish the show, I thought, we need a little bit of something to, just brighten things up. And here again is another sad tune from our past.
Their love was meant for beauty queens in high school.
It's a song about a girl who didn't think she was very pretty. Dan can't relate to that. This is really the Humble and Fred story. It's about ugly boys like us. Tomorrow on the show, if you think you got some Trump talk today, Noel Casler returns 1 week ahead of the U.S. presidential election. Going to be talking to the Noel man tomorrow. As well, we'll talk condos with our guy, Nick Innes. And we hope that you will join us as part of the Humble and Fred Revolution. Help us get through 4 of these in a row.
Yes, we can do it.
You think we can?
I think we can do it.
Okay.
No time off till Christmas.
Really?
Well, we got to do four bangers right up to Christmas.
Don't we get any mental health day once every couple of weeks? We should take a day off every 2 to 3 weeks.
If we took mental health days off, we'd never do the show.
I'm sure there's some golf thing you can take the day off. Power. Just
listen, Dan, and
Remembrance Day, maybe.
Yes. Let's think about that. Let's take Remembrance Day off.
Okay.
Because we can't be doing 4 back to back. We'll kill ourselves.
Back to back.
It's a lot of us.
Yeah, all the people doing 5 days are going.
Yeah, Dan, we're hundreds of years old. We are, between the 3 of us, we're not young men. We are, it's 120, 180. You're 8, 120, 180, 192. We're close to 200 years old, Dan.
Yeah, I can't even come up with the names, but last week and the previous week there was a rash of guys. Notable people died. Men died in their 80s. It's just, whenever I see that, it's depressing. Jesus.
Like close personal friends or like famous people?
No, like famous people. Like people, so-and-so, he's dead. Oh, he was 82, 83, 84, like me in 15 years. Like
That's right.
Anyway.
That's why
we've been doing this show going on 14, so...
Yeah, we can't be doing this 4 days a week, Dan. All right,
taking it out of us.
it does. We have so little time left. Do we really
I
need
wonder
to
how
be
long
doing
before this chair I'm sitting in has a shit stain in it. Like, I don't even know, right? Like,
What do you mean? Have a look now. Wonder no longer. It's probably, I mean, we've been sitting here for a couple hours. All right. Dan, do you have any final words before we say goodbye?
No, absolutely not.
Dan wants to get the fuck out.
Dan has a different sense of humor than we.
No, I know. Bye.
Okay, this episode of the legendary Humble and Fred Show was brought to you by the Retirement Sherpa, the Chambers Plan, Boron One, Bodog, our newest sponsor, Ridley Funeral Home, and Kelsey's Original Roadhouse. For contests and comments, we read all the emails, humbleandfred at humbleandfredradio.com. That's humbleandfred at humbleandfredradio.com. So tell us what you think. Get yourself on the show on Thursday. And here's something you can do to help us out. Tell your friends, subscribe to the podcast, rate the podcast. From the Julie Mazzoni Zoom Theater, I'm Dan Duran. And remember, even if you can't decide on Feist, be feisty and enjoy every goddamn day.
Microphone, bottles and cans, or just clap your hands, or just clap your hands. Where's that?